Beep, 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 beep. All that's new from the just news ass of gravy. Good morning, all. It's Sunday. I genuinely was going to have a day off. Unfortunately, something has been brought to my attention that I feel that you should also see, or at least know about. As usual, the linkages will be in the doobras. First things first, hit subscribe, because you are going to want to share this. It needs to get the widest possible audience. It's been about for a while, which is what worries me, but it needs to get the widest possible audience. And what we're going to talk about today is a document which is produced by UCL and various ridiculous social studies nitwits about RSE, good practice. Now, that's sex education for the nippers, right? Okay, and this was done in secondary schools, and I imagine that they've collaborated with more queer theorists and social scientists as we speak. Yeah, the usual stuff. So what I'm going to do is I put the link to the document downstairs. If you can't find the document, I'm going to put the link to this video in my Patreon. For those patrons that are already subscribed, you'll find the actual document uploaded there. Now, as those of you that have watched me rattle on or come to see me speak at various events will know that I've seen a few things in my time when it comes to this nonsense. When it comes to this critical social justice and queer theory and everything else that comes with it. And I've got to tell you that although this was produced in August 2020, I've never seen sight nor sound of it before. And in all my days, I have never seen a more dangerous document that has been produced for schools. There's a fly in here. Fuck off. Help me. Go on. Right, so never. I've never seen a document that is as dangerous as this one. So I'll leave you to decide whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. I'm going to read you some experts. No, there are no experts here, I can assure you. I'm going to read you some excerpts. And those excerpts will come from page 4, if you're reading along, page 10, and then subsequently page 12. Secondary schools. Right? It's not just secondary. Guarantee this has gone elsewhere. So let's begin and see what we find within the pages of this, I think it's 37-page document, which in my opinion shouldn't even exist. It has been funded by public money. So we'll start with the approach and principles. This guide reflects the principles and approaches that we took in the development of the RSE program, which was collaborative and responsive to need, building on the experiences of student teachers and of young people. That's relevant. Student teachers and young people. No actual teachers then. Right, okay. We believe that these principles should be visible through pedagogical approaches, practices and classroom activities in good RSE teaching. Now, pedagogical means the teaching of children, which is all right up until you're about 13, and then you ought to cut it out, really, so we can make them grow up. So let's begin. Approaches and principles number 1. Diversity and equality / equity focus. There it is, straight away, right? You can either have equality of outcome or you can have equality of opportunity. You can't have both, right? And we don't want equality of outcome, which is equity, because it's murderous. Right, the diverse experiences, here we go, right, first line, the diverse experiences of gender and sexuality, right, the two things are not connected, and gender is immaterial, it has no place in law, there is no definition of it in law, should be approached as part of a commitment to diversity and equity, seen in the Equality Act 2010, they really are lying. They really are lying, okay? Teachers and young people can look at the UK legislation, foregrounded in the government guidance, to build knowledge and understanding of diversity, equity, and mutual respect for all. There's no such thing as mutual respect for all. Only tolerance. This goes directly against the public sector equality duty of the school. Within the first 5 lines. Oh, God. Right. LGBTQIA plus rights are therefore enshrined in equality law. They are not. They are not enshrined in equality law. Sexuality is enshrined in equality law. The gender recognition certificate process is enshrined in equality law. Nowhere in equality law are queer theorists and transgender people mentioned. This is for schools. From a committed university like UCL that they are sending out to teachers so that they will teach wrongly and in direct contradiction with the public sector equality duty, as well as lying to the kids about shit. Right? I'd have to have a drink, because otherwise I'd bloody despair. Right, okay, so. This is just part one. Right, it is important, here we go. LGBTQIA plus rights are therefore enshrined in equality law. And this framing creates a safe and welcoming environment for all students. Consequently, it is important not to give a platform to discriminatory views under the guise of debate. That's us. They're talking about women. GC, I'm not a woman. I might be today. No, I'm not, right? Okay? They're talking about GC women, and they're talking about gay men who object to this shit. It may make students feel unsafe. Good. You should feel unsafe because these people are not your friends. You should feel unsafe. Let's go to part two. Because it just gets better, right? Part two. Intersectional. Intersectional. It's so blatant. I mean, they're not even hiding this shit anymore, right? Intersectional. Gender and sexual-based power inequities continue to shape societies and cultures globally. Why the hell would a pupil sat down in Tiverton, wondering what wanking is, care about what's happening? Just gender and sexuality and cultural global. Right. Our aim is to educate and empower young people to understand and challenge these unequal structures and power relations. And there you go. There you have it. The wokesters, eh? Me being the Woke Finder General are 7 lines into this extraordinary document which is meant to change the world. It is not a guide for RSE. It is a manifesto. A manifesto for critical social justice designed to turn your child into an unthinking and blindly led pawn of hard left, identitarian, anti-human policies. Gender and sexual identity are always intersecting with age, disability, sexuality, race, class and other factors which create conditions of relative privilege and oppression for groups and individuals depending on their position or location in these intersectional power relations. You utter tossers. Nobody cares. Right? And nor should they. How dare you? How dare you attempt to take the next generation of children and young people and turn them into your Slavic drones. Slavic? Slavish. Your slavish drones. Based upon your absolute inability to recognise that you are completely infected with an unbelievably grievance-driven hatred of the very society that has given you the luxuries that you are afforded. How dare you, madam? How dare you? I'm having a mad one today, aren't I? Next, inclusive. Right. Be actively and positively inclusive in terms of gender, sexuality, disability, race, culture, age, religion, belief, and other life experiences through teaching other life experiences. So you've got to be inclusive of everybody, even if they want to throw you off a building. Right? They are insane. Right? This is the Be Kind Brigade writ large. They don't know they're the bad guys. Right? They don't know. Part of the inclusion means avoiding making unnecessary distinctions. For example, rather than doing a lesson on LGBTQ plus families, we advise incorporating LGBTQIA families into a more general lesson about all kinds of families. Just go away. Just stop with your nonsense. Question 4, section 4. Rights-based and empowering. Ensure that young people have access to accurate information, health service, advice and knowledge based on a rights-based frame of children's rights. That's it. They want your kids. They are coming for your kids. You've got to get this out there, right? Because normal parents who aren't involved in this, you're just going to have to trust me, folks. You're just going to have to trust me. These people are a danger to your children. They're a danger to your family. Because absolutely part of what they're attempting to do will be to remove the child from the family in order to make sure that the child's decisions are taken by someone else. The destruction of the nuclear family is at the heart of this very document. And if you don't get your head around that, then you are going to be in a very serious state when you find out what's happened because you've been remiss in looking. All right? In the Dubris, in the Dubris, right? Rights-based and empower. Right. It'll help children to make informed choices, access support, and protect them physically and emotionally. They need protecting emotionally from you. You disingenuous bunch of queer theorist, rabid, anti-human, nasty gits. All right. Then it's got your positive but critical thinking. Not the critical thinking you and I think. Actively encourage positive attitudes towards sexuality and body image. Bust myths, but also expose taboos. Which taboos is it you want to expose the kids to? Fisting? Maybe? Hey? Friday. Lesson 1, science. Lesson 2, French. Lesson 3, fisting. Lesson 4, cunnilingus. What's wrong with you people? We've got to tackle feelings of shame driven by inequalities. Shame driven by inequalities. That's what they call it. Shame driven by... What they mean by shame driven by inequalities is that we must make cross-dressing, pups, and every other, fetish and sexual activity that people like to get up to, something that you can be proud of. That you're in a diaper and you're 38 and you're shitting yourself in public. These fucking... Get them out of these schools. We highlight sexuality in the title to show the need to go beyond simple ideas of sex. Wait, you know what's coming. You've seen me say this before. Simplistic. There's nothing. Sex is simple. There's 2 of them. It's fun if you get it right. Yep, right. And that doesn't necessarily include sticking objects at your bum, shitting yourself in a nappy, or pissing all over your partner. It's that simple, right? We need to go beyond simplistic ideas of sex as biological sex, defined by genitals. They are so full of shit. And a need to shift to diversity and inclusion of multiple gendered and sexual identities and relationships. Really, seriously, this is on the first page. This is number 5, right? Number 5. That's all we are up to, 5. On page 4 of a 37-page document, which is a manifesto for perversion. Perversion of the nuclear family, perversion of the idea of what a family is, perversion of everything into queer theory and critical theory containers, so that they can make of it what they will. Number 6, research-driven. Yeah, but they're only research within their small little confines, because they're all sat around playing, toss off on the biscuit. Whatever it is they do in these universities or whatever. Yep. They're all there sat around making themselves academically moist by just citing each other. Research driven. Be informed by and be able to critique the research and evidence base in developing practices, knowledge and understanding of what makes high quality RSE and the ability to critique mainstream media representations which polarise debates. Right, they're going to be driven by research that they've already made up their mind that mainstream media representations polarise debates. So this research isn't going to go very far, is it? We pay these people money. It's our money they're getting. And it will also be contemporary, relevant and flexible. Build on the experiences of young people in today's society. They're not interested in truth. So that the RSE is relevant and responsive to the needs of learners. It doesn't need to be responsive to the needs of learners. There are factual things. Facts. Facts. Social structures. How people live. If you want to piss on your partner, feel free. Don't do it in Tesco's. Right? It's like the bloke that, just wandering around dressed in God knows what with his dangler hanging out. And some fool dressed in a nappy and playing in a playground this week. This is what they want. This is the world they want. Build on the experiences of young people. I don't care what the young people's experiences are. They haven't been around 5 minutes. They'll do as they're told. What's wrong with you? Doesn't get any better, I'm telling you now. Right, let's go. Let's get to the actual teaching. The actual teaching of the RSE on page 12 of the Good Practice Guide from UCL, August 2020. The mad fuckers that wrote this. I put one comment and they blocked me. They've already blocked me, right? Block all you like, I'm coming. Right. Identity, gender and sexuality. Let's go. Let's see what they've got to say about that. Teaching approaches to teaching, right? So now they're telling teachers how to do their job. Get that, right? So, when teaching about gender and sexuality, it can be helpful to think of the topics as part of a broader picture of identity. Bang. There you go. You choose your identity. It's that dangerous identity stuff that is sending kids mental, right? That is causing a mental health crisis. Eliciting ideas from students, so don't teach them, elicit. All learning's in the learner. This is liberals, isn't it? That wishy-washy educational fucking liberals. All learning's in the learner. Right. Eliciting ideas from students about all of the traits which make up their identities. Right? They are constructing a fake identity for children. They're constructing it in the classroom. You're not you, you're a construction. They see them as bits. That's because the main author of this shit is a transhumanist. So these traits can include hobbies, family background, where they're from, race, faith, school, etc. Can help them to recognise the many intersections which make up a person's experience. They are constructing fake identities as if they're filling in a profile. These people are unwell. While it's important to teach about LGBTQIA plus identities, hands, knees and bumps and daisy, right, okay, it is vital that this does not feel tokenistic or singled out. They've said that more than anything else. They've used this acronym more than anything else, and they don't want to single it out. And in order to prove that, they've singled it out. They really are so stupid, right? So are the teachers that are using this. Think about that. As such, LGBTQIA plus hands, knees and bumps and daisy identities and issues should form one part of a broader identity lesson. So we're now having lessons about how to construct your identity, which isn't real, so that you can fill out the form on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok, or I don't know what the latest one is they're all tossing around on. Yep, we'll make the identity. Let's make an identity. So today we're going to make an identity. You're not who you think you are. You're who you choose to be. You don't think that's going to derange a child, then you are just as stupid as these people are. Get this out there. It says that we should teach about LGBTQI across all subjects to be inclusive. Delivering a foundational lesson about gender, sexuality and power dynamics. They are. And that's not just the power dynamics is in bold. It's not power dynamics, it's power dynamics. Right? Can help young people to understand how sexism and LGBTQIA plus discrimination is still at work in society. Using recent news stories or statistics can support this. For example, statistics such as those listed in the Stonewall School Report. I am going to become the Woke Finder General, right? And we're going to set up a Woke Finder General committee. And I'm going to go round and give all these people their P45s. Get them out. Fire them. Defund them. Defund them. The evidence is all there. We've got the receipts. We can give you the names. Let's start making some lists, shall we? And everybody will now go, oh my God, they made lists during the war. Oh, McCarthyism. Oh. Strikes me as we could do with a bit of a dose of that right now to get these lunatics out of our education establishments where we put them and pay them well because we trust them. They're damaging academia. They're damaging academia. There's no two ways about it. Don't make lists. I'm kidding. Right, okay. Let's leave that to those of us that can use them. Now here it comes. It's you don't know what you're doing is next. Right, so you've got to listen to us. Sometimes when preparing to teach RSE, educators might feel overwhelmed by unfamiliar vocabulary. What, like LGBTQIA plus hands, knees and bumps and daisy? Fisting, or teabagging, or felching. I don't even know what those things are. Well, I do, but I don't want to say it online. If they have not come across different terms to sexualities and gender identities before, in this guide we provide definitions for terms which might be important to know. So, thankfully, despite the fact that the teacher may think, actually, this has got nothing to do with RSE, they're saying, well, you won't know. You'll feel overwhelmed. So don't feel overwhelmed. Here's a nice little document that'll help you inculcate the kids on our behalf so we don't have to do it. Right? Once you're prepared, as much as you can, the primary aim is to be inclusive and to remain open-minded. No, it's not. The primary aim is to teach the children the basics of sex education and relationships, and to do so in a way in which that teaching will cover as many pupils as possible and does not in any way sexualize them or become prurient, despite the fact it's labelled out, because kids giggle, don't they? You say dick, they'll giggle, you know. And these breasts, it's fine not to get things right all of the time. Well, I'm so glad you told me. I mean, there's all those thousands of teachers around the country who thought that you could get it wrong sometimes, and it was okay. As with all subjects, continuous learning is key for both students and staff. We will continue to feed you the indoctrination that we're providing. So here's the key concept that you should use in your teaching. Outline the meaning of identity, gender and sexuality. Well, the first two don't matter. Provide an overt explanation about the distinctions between gender and sexuality. They haven't done it. It's not there. Maybe somewhere else in the document, I don't know. point 3 of the key content for your lesson. Power dynamics. Inequalities and privilege are all relevant in the context of identity, gender and sexuality. I mean, that's pure cultural Marxism right there. We need to get these people out. One for the gays now. You listen it up. Say, hey, if you're a gay, because today, be blown away. Listen carefully. The term queer has historically been used as a homophobic / transphobic slur. Fuck, just go away. And as such must be used with caution by anyone outside of the queer community. It has now been reclaimed. They're even colonising our historical oppression from the point of view of, historically, you were beaten, but so were the trans. Bearing in mind that transgender didn't exist until a few years ago. Just see what they do? Right, next one. Gender stereotypes exist for men and women. Oh look, men and women. Which make false assumptions about individuals and exacerbate our understanding of the gender binary. In the same sentence. Oh, they exist for men and women in the gender binary, which doesn't exist, according to them. Or which, if it does exist, is a bad thing. You can't tell, can you? Right, it says here, discuss the LGBTQIA+ acronym and the definitions and the reasons why the community doesn't include heterosexual gender-conforming people. Example, LGBTQI have historically been excluded from mainstream spaces, so have forged their own community. No, they haven't. No, the QIA didn't bloody exist until 2014, so actually, let's just call it LGB, which is what it is. The rest are just weirdos. It's insane. I mean, it's hard to believe that that's going into schools, but it is. Next up. You may wish to consider setting up your classroom with some ground rules. Let's have the ground rules, all right? Using either a shared agreement approach or a rights and responsibilities approach. I don't know whether you want to do that. Perhaps just teach them, right? Example, we join in and ask questions. There's loads of them. We use the correct vocabulary where possible. There they are again, right? Make sure that everybody feels listened to. Make sure everybody feels okay. No, we don't want people to feel okay. I want them to feel completely uncomfortable most of the time. You learn better. And for example, of a rights and responsibilities approach, everybody has a right to feel listened to, but only if they've got something to say there's of value. Everybody has the right to join in and speak if they want to. Yes, providing what they've got to say is relevant.